They called it the Watcher, a derelict ship of impossible age, older than Earth's pyramids, orbiting the sulfur skies of Io in perfect silence. It had no crew, no heat, no movement, just one signal repeating every 22 hours. Awaiting, subject, human, alien Mercer. And alien Mercer had been dead for over 2 centuries. The salvage crews from Europa first found it, an alien monolith the size of a city hanging just beyond Jupiter's magnetic storms. None of their scans worked. LiDAR vanished into shadow. Radiation washed off it like rain from obsidian. No life. No entry points. No explanation. But the message was clear. Waiting? For a human. For alien. Historians dove into digital catacombs to find a trace of the name. It wasn't in war records or politics. It wasn't on any criminal registry or tech patent. Alien Mercer was no general, no president, no prodigy. Just a technician. A damn ship technician from a backwater orbital repair ring. Died 213 years ago. No children. No legacy. Just an old logbook and a name etched on a defunct shuttle hub's memorial wall. And yet this alien colossus, this sleeping leviathan, wanted him. Captain Etta Raines stood on the deck of the Orcus Tempest, eyes fixed on the colossal alien vessel through the viewport, her breath fogging the glass. "We ran the signal again?" she asked. "Twice," replied Lieutenant Myung, tapping into the decoded signal string. "Still says, awaiting subject. Mercer alien. Human. Request status update." Etta rubbed her temples. "Any change in power levels?" "Nothing. But, Captain," Myung hesitated, pointing to the temporal data logs. "The ship's message, it updated. Not the message content but the language encoding. It's been shifting over the last few hours. From unknown glyphs to something approximating 21st century Earth Standard English. It's adapting." Raines straightened. "Then it knows we're human." "It knows?" Myung whispered. "It knows Mercer isn't here. And it's learning how to ask why." 6 months later, every Earth-aligned faction had dispatched envoys. The UNESF, the Martian Triad, even private megacorps like Heliosen Corp and Abyssium Dynamics. Everyone wanted access to the Watcher. Secrets. Its origin. Its purpose. But no one could breach its hull. Plasma drills shattered. Quantum slicers failed. Neutrino worms dissolved into static. The Watcher didn't defend itself, it simply ignored them. Until the Sagan Initiative tried something new. Not a probe. Not a warhead. A voice. They recreated alien Mercer. Or tried to. Synthetically grown from sparse genetic remnants, reconstructed memories pieced together from old social logs, job transcripts, and ghost data pulled from decayed orbital servers. They called the result Echo Mercer. He wasn't a clone. He wasn't alien. But he looked like him. Walked like him. Thought like him, mostly. He remembered tools. Remembered the sound of reactor valves. Remembered singing to himself while fixing burnt-out modules and freezing dark corridors. He remembered a woman named Saoirse. Her smile at least. Maybe. That was enough. Echo Mercer was sent to the Watcher. No one knew what to expect. They expected doors to open, a response, a scan. Instead, something stranger occurred. As the shuttle neared, a section of the alien hull melted open, smooth as warm wax in 0G. Not exploded. Not cut. Melted as if reshaping itself to accommodate his arrival. Echo Mercer stepped through the hatch into darkness. His first words transmitted were, "It's warm in here. It feels like home." And then the connection cut. For 39 days nothing came from the Watcher. Not a signal. Not a flicker. Nothing. Then on day 40 it moved. The Watcher's engines activated. Not visible ones, dimensional folds, small spatial distortions pulsing like a heartbeat. It rotated 87 degrees and aligned with Jupiter's magnetotail. The alien vessel, still silent, began a slow drift toward Earth. But one thing had changed. The signal now read. Subject Mercer acknowledged. Human unit insufficient. Request true Mercer. Timeline error identified. Correction requested. Awaiting return. The panic was immediate. What did correction mean? And how in the name of relativity was an ancient alien vessel asking for someone already dead, and now somehow talking about timelines? Temporal physicists lost sleep. Simulation theorists published manifestos. Panic spread online. Some religious cults believed Mercer was divine, a forgotten prophet. Others claimed he'd saved Earth in a prior timeline. None of it made sense. But then Project Meridian stepped forward. And with it, an impossible claim. We know where Elian Mercer actually went. Dr. Sol Velkin, head of temporal anomalies at Project Meridian, presented the files in front of the UN Assembly. Elian Mercer wasn't just a tech, she began. He was involved in a deep space refit crew near Neptune. During a flare storm, the entire station vanished. We chalked it up to structural failure and burial in Neptune's gravity well. But last year we detected quantum echoes. She adjusted the display, points of light flickered. We think the entire station slipped. A microfold in spacetime. Not destroyed. Just lost. Not in space. Not in time. Somewhere else. Where's Elian Mercer now? Asked an assembly member. Possibly alive, Dr. Velkin said. Possibly still in that fold. We believe the Watcher isn't asking for a clone or a descendant. It's asking for the original, the one who made first contact. And if we want to stop whatever's coming, we need to find him. Etta Raines was recalled from Jovian orbit. The Orcus Tempest would lead the search. She was briefed, equipped, and given a team of scientists, tacticians, and one temporal linguist who barely made it out of psych evaluation. Her mission was simple: find Elian Mercer. The real one. Even if he no longer belonged in their reality. The last thing Raines saw before entering fold space was the Watcher, now stationary over Europa, its message brighter than ever. We are still waiting. The engines of the Orcus Tempest screamed in silence as it plunged into the fold. Captain Etta Raines sat strapped in the command cradle, eyes locked on the screen as space twisted around them. Jupiter and its moons elongated, stretched into ribbons of pale light, then were gone. No up, no down, no time, only motion. And then, stillness. Absolute stillness. We're through, said Lieutenant Myung, her voice shaking. Around them the universe had changed. Not in stars or distance but in tone. The void outside wasn't black. It shimmered like ink suspended in oil, colors shifting as if seen through half-forgotten memories. Nebulae pulsed in patterns that resembled thoughts. And through the view screen floated shadows, remnants of structures. Stations. Wrecks. One of them bore the faded mark of the Neptune orbital refit array. There it is, whispered Raines. Home of the Ghost. Docking was manual. The station had no power. No gravity. But it hadn't decayed. Time hadn't passed in this place. Or if it had, it passed wrong. They entered through the ruptured maintenance bay. Faint scratches lined the walls. Signs of panic. Of escape attempts. Desperate hands against steel. And then they found it. Elian Mercer's toolkit, still magnetized to a bulkhead. Still set to his preference. A left-handed rotation on the mag wrench. Everything's frozen, said Dr. Velkin, running her scanner. This station is caught in a temporal compression field. Like a fly in amber. They didn't decay, they were paused. But paused by what? Asked Raines. Velkin looked up, pale. Or who? In the central reactor chamber they found the first corpse. Not human. Tall. Elongated. Metal and flesh. Alien. Its form was unfamiliar. 6 arms, each split into 3-fingered fans, a head like a thorn crescent. Half of it was melted into the wall. As if it had phased in incorrectly. That's not one of the station crew, Raines said flatly. No, said Velkin. That's from wherever the Watcher came from. They pushed deeper. The distortion fields thickened. Lights flickered where no power flowed. Gravity bent in wrong directions. But then in the old control room they found him. Sitting. Alive. Elian Mercer. He blinked as they approached, the light of their helmets reflecting off his tired eyes. He was older than in the logs, but only barely. A few gray streaks, sunken cheeks. His eyes darted between them. I knew someone would come, he said hoarsely. I just didn't think it'd take so long. Raines crouched beside him. Mercer, we're here to bring you home. The Watcher. Elian, Velkin interrupted. What happened here? He looked up slow. We were doing refits. There was a flare, then something bent. A gap. Not space. Not time. Like logic folded. He laughed bitterly. And they walked through. Said they were caretakers. Curators. Builders of the Watcher. They didn't want us. They wanted a link. A link? Raines asked. They scanned us all. But only I triggered something. A match. Familiarity. Like recognition. They said I had a resonance. That my presence echoed. Not just in this universe. He stood slowly, stretching tired legs. They said I was an anchor. A key. Not to a door. But to understanding. The station trembled. Outside the shadows shifted. They're still watching, Elian whispered. They never left. I was just in holding for someone to come find me. The walls shuddered. Screeching noise erupted, a sound with no air, no origin, yet it clawed at their thoughts. Velkin screamed. Myung dropped to her knees. Rains grabbed Elian's arm. We need to go. Now. They sprinted back through twisting corridors. Behind them, time fractured, their own shadows stuttering, sometimes moving faster than them, sometimes slower. They boarded the shuttle and launched, making it just before the temporal field collapsed, sucking the station into an implosion of lightless collapse. The last thing visible before it vanished was a single eye, massive, ancient, not organic, watching them. The Watcher's kin. Back aboard the Orcus Tempest, Rains paced while Elian was examined in medbay. Velkin joined her after an hour, pale and wide-eyed. He's human. Completely, she said. But. Velkin hesitated. There's something extra. Entangled signatures. His quantum identity bleeds outside standard time. He exists in a superposition. He's been altered. Rains narrowed her eyes. Altered by what? A voice came from behind them, Elian himself. Not what, he said. By who? He walked to the bridge, barefoot, eyes locked on the viewport where the Watcher now hung in space. I don't remember everything, he said, but I know this. They made the Watcher for a reason. And it's not just a ship. It's a mirror. A recorder. It's watching us to see what we become. He turned to Rains. But now it wants something more. What? Elian's voice dropped to a whisper. It wants to wake up. The Orcus Tempest received a new signal. The Watcher, now active, sent an altered message. Subject Mercer identified. Temporal repair initiated. Final sequence requires convergence. Prepare for integration. Velkin gasped. It's going to merge timelines. Reconstruct what was broken. But what if it's not just fixing? Myung asked. What if it's replacing? Elian walked toward the airlock. Wait, Rain said. We don't know what'll happen. You never did, he said calmly. You weren't supposed to. I was never meant to leave that place. But I did. And now the Watcher's dream is unfinished. He paused at the hatch. But maybe it doesn't have to end in silence. The alien vessel opened again, its hull folding inward like breath exhaled. Elian stepped through. Light engulfed him. The ship pulsed, once, then dimmed. The signal changed again. Subject accepted. Timeline stabilizing. Await return. Rain sat in her quarters that night, listening to the echo of Elian's last words. They didn't build the Watcher to conquer. They built it to remember. But some memories, they don't belong in just one time. Elian Mercer didn't step. He floated. The moment his boots crossed the alien airlock threshold, the floor vanished. There was no corridor. No hall. Just light, woven into geometry. Threads of memory, stretching into infinity, each strand humming like it remembered being alive. He drifted through the Watcher's consciousness. In the command center of the Orcus Tempest, Captain Rains stared at the silent alien vessel outside. No lights. No signals. Just that same impossible shape, like a crescent carved from thought. We're not leaving him, she said, breaking the silence. Myung blinked. But ma'am, he walked in willingly. Rains didn't flinch. So did I when I enlisted. Doesn't mean I wanted to die there. Velkin stood at the console, frowning. The Watcher isn't just a ship. It's reacting like a living archive. I think it's reading him. Not just scanning. Experiencing him. Experiencing what? Elian's timeline. Every decision. Every deviation. Every human choice. Inside the Watcher, Elian fell upward. He blinked and saw himself at 10 years old, standing in the rain outside his mother's hospital room. Then 17, slipping through orbital recruitment lines. Then 42, welding reactor coils at Neptune Station. Every step replayed, then fractured into variations. In one vision he accepted the desk job. In another he died during a hull breach that never happened. In one he never existed. Each memory played out and then folded, stacked together like cards in a hand the universe was trying to win with. He felt the pressure building, not on his body but on his self. Why me? His voice echoed into the void. And then the void answered. You were not chosen. You are the residue. You are the one who touched the fold and remained tethered. Back on the Tempest, systems flickered. All sensors just dropped, Myung snapped. The Watcher's pulling power from us. It's not aggressive, but it's like it's forming a bridge. A bridge to what? Rains asked. Velkin's eyes widened. Not to a place. to a possibility. Inside, Alien's form began to shift. He stood now on an alien surface, beneath a twilight sky of violet stars. Great towers loomed in the distance, curving inward like petals. Around him stood the architects, tall, translucent beings with arms like converging prisms. Not alive in the way humans understood, but undeniably aware. They didn't speak. They unfolded. From their forms, images spilled, whole civilizations rising and falling. The birth of stars. The death of galaxies. And in all of them, one constant thread, a species they never expected. Humanity. Alien stepped forward. Why show me this? Because your kind was never part of the archive. You fractured prediction. You violated fate. You invented yourselves from dust, and then dared to change. We needed to know why. On the Tempest, warnings blared. Something's forming off our port side. Myung cried. I don't know what it is, but it's growing. Rains looked through the viewport, and saw stars bending into a spiral. Not a weapon. A window. And through it, another version of Earth burned. Inside the Watcher, Alien turned to see the scene. A timeline where humans lost. Where Earth never fought back. Where the architects chose not to wait, and intervened before humanity reached space. Silence. Endless stars. You call us watchers, the voices whispered. But we were once actors. Until your kind made us hesitate. Alien closed his eyes. And then he did what humans always do in the face of incomprehensible power. He stepped forward. You want to understand humanity? Then you'll need more than me. You'll need all of us. Our rage. Our love. Our contradictions. He raised his hand. You watched. Now let us show you. The Watcher ignited. Not in flame, but in understanding. A cascade of human emotion, history, instinct. All of it surged through Alien into the ship's core. And the ship didn't resist. Remembered. Not data. Not logic. But feeling. On the Tempest, Vulcan collapsed. Myung screamed. Rains fell to one knee as thousands of memories not their own raced through their minds. Children playing in pre-collapse rain. Old men watching stars from broken domes. Lovers dying in gravity fires. Soldiers screaming across moon dust. Not just Alien's memories. All of them. The ship had opened the vault. And now humanity was inside it. Back aboard the bridge, the main screen blinked. A new signal. Short. Untranslated. Vulcan worked furiously. Her voice trembled. It says, transmission complete. Calibration accepted. Return sequence authorized. Rains stared at her. Return? Return where? The Watcher split open. From its side came a pulse, not a weapon. A seed. A second structure unfolded like a mirrored twin, this time shaped like human architecture. Brutalist steel fused with organic growth. A monument. A message. A place not for aliens, but for us. Alien reappeared on the transporter pad, slumped, steaming. They rushed to him. He smiled faintly. We didn't just visit a ship. He looked at the Watcher, now silent. We built a language with them. And they gave us back a future. Rains helped him stand. What now? Alien's eyes turned to the horizon of stars, where a ripple still pulsed. They said they were waiting for the right species to inherit what came before. One not born from conquest, but from contradiction. He glanced around the crew. Looks like that's us. They named it the Mirror Gate. The second structure, half alien, half human, hovered beside the Watcher like a reflection dreaming itself real. Where the Watcher was smooth and eternal, the gate was raw, imperfect. Inside its core, a path. Not through space but across possibility. It's a transit system, Vulcan explained weeks later. Transit to what? Rains asked, hands folded behind her back. Vulcan pulled up a projected diagram, half composed of alien glyphs, half human mathematics. To every version of us that could have existed. Myung paled. You're saying the architects built a multiversal highway? Vulcan nodded slowly. No. They found it. And when they discovered we were capable of surviving it, they opened the gate. Alien stood alone at the gate's threshold. Since his return, his dreams hadn't stopped. Every night he relived moments of other alien mercers. Some who died young. Some who led revolutions. Some who never left Earth. Some who watched it burn. The gate wanted him to choose. Not where to go, but who to be. One morning, Vulcan approached him with a thin silver box. They call this a soul key, she said. The architects never used names like we do, but this is the only thing they preserved from the species before them. Elian ran his fingers over its surface. Inside was no tech, no engine, no mechanism. Just a thought. A preserved decision. A choice made by a being long gone, locked in a way of thinking that refused to die. Why give this to me? Velkin met his eyes. Because they've seen all of us. All the data. All the branches. And they still chose you. The Galactic Council was in chaos. From Drashtun to Valari space, species old enough to remember the first solar currents watched in unease as Earth was invited to speak at the Archive of Inheritance. Some protested. They are volatile. They are unpredictable. They make war with their own reflection. But others remembered the pause, when the Watcher pulsed and all timelines hesitated to see what humanity would do. In a chamber not built by hands, Elian stepped forward to address the assembly. No translator ran. No speech was written. He simply spoke, and the Watcher carried his meaning into every mind. We're not the strongest. We're not the wisest. We haven't mastered time or folded suns, or walked between stars since birth. But we choose. And in choosing we change what must be into what can be. He held up the soul key. You watched us from afar. But the truth is we've always been coming for you. Not with weapons. But with possibility. Now we ask you, will you choose with us, or be left behind in the future we've already begun? Silence. Then light. The Watcher lit up across the Council sphere, not as a ship but as a beacon. Not of power. Of recognition. For the first time in eons, the architects responded with something they had never offered before. Alliance. Back aboard the Orcus Tempest, the crew watched as new gateways bloomed across the void. Worlds once forgotten awakened. Dead civilizations rekindled. Hidden archives blinked open, not with secrets but questions. And at the center of it all, orbiting Earth now like a second moon, the mirror gate thrummed with life. Not human. Not alien. But future. One final time, Elian stood before it. Rain stood beside him, arms crossed. You know, I was ready to shoot that thing to pieces when we first saw it. Elian grinned. I was ready to run the moment the door opened. Glad we didn't, she said quietly. He nodded. Yeah. Because they weren't waiting for a hero. Or a leader. Or a god. He stepped forward, hand resting on the edge of the gate. They were waiting for someone who could remember being small. And still choose to reach for something bigger. The gate opened. Elian walked through. No explosion. No fanfare. Just a single ripple like a choice echoing forever. And beyond it? The future humanity was never supposed to have. But one we chose anyway. End of story. If this journey moved you, inspired you, or made you wonder, subscribe for more human stories in alien skies. The stars are watching. Let's show them who we are. Milky Way footprints.